Welcome to the Waste of Web Space podcast, episode 64.
Starring
Jimbo.
and Fisher.
And of course, it is episode 64, which is a big number, as was the number before it. So shall we have our episode intro, Fisher?
Go on, let's see what you've got, Jimbo.
When everything's normal and everything's well, many years from now, will you still be listening in the queue for the bank or in the bathtub while you're having a wash? It's been a slog and we've done 63, so shall we keep recording more? Will you still listen? Will you still watch us? Now we're 64. So the title of our episode, Now We're 64. We think we've still got people who are watching us anyway and listening to us.
I suppose the slight thing with that song is that there's an implication that we're 64 years old, which is what the song's about. Purely, we are episode 64.
Of course.
So we haven't been going for 64 years.
It feels like it sometimes.
It does, yeah. So one episode might actually last 64 years. I think we've been knocking up towards an hour and a half recent episodes, haven't we?
But in podcast terms, you're as old as your episode, aren't you, I suppose? So that's why we've kind of gone with that one. And actually, that kind of leads on to something I watched last night that I've been waiting to watch for ages, and I decided to watch it last night. Yesterday, which is a film about... Have you watched it before?
Hang on, you watched it yesterday?
I watched it yesterday,
yeah.
And the film was called Yesterday. And it's a film about... basically a world where suddenly everybody forgets that the Beatles ever existed and they're kind of been erased from memory, but only a few people in the world can remember them. So one person takes it upon themselves to rewrite the Beatles songs and claim them as his own. And it's a great film. It's a really good film if you've not watched it.
What was the name of the central character? Was it Paul McCartney? hey, what about that?
It wasn't. No, it wasn't. But there you go. A delayed symbol for you there, Fisher.
Yes, thank you. Probably a bit like Ringo Starr's drumming.
And what about what have you been up to?
What about okay. Not much really. Nothing at all. To be fair, I've just been sat at home all weekend. But the most significant event really is the fact it was my wife's birthday on Friday. So she's very nicely got some cake for me to eat in the podcast. So
happy birthday, Vicky.
Exactly. Well, happy birthday. We had a very, very enjoyable day on Friday. We even left the house and went for a walk outside in a fairly remote place. We made sure we stayed 2 meters away from everyone else around a local reservoir, which we felt was adhering to social distancing guidelines, which is good. I'm not sure if you want to maybe have some cake as well.
That looks really nice, that cake. Thank you very much.
Let's send it over.
Yeah,
there we go.
Okay.
Right. Sometimes it happens in the space-time continuum that it ends up turning into a crunchy bar when it gets to your house, doesn't it? But never mind. We try his best.
I mean, there's not really that much excuse, is it? You know, you only do live 5 minutes from my house. I know we couldn't get up in the middle of the podcast and record it, but, you know. Any cake going?
Actually, to be fair, I think you can leave the house to deliver food to other people, so I could have actually brought some round for you, but never mind. Maybe next time.
Absolutely no excuse. Should we get our drinks sorted then?
Let's have our drinks. What have you got?
Well, so a bit of a story about mine then. This is, although actually it's not going to result in, anyway, I'll tell you. So I started a new job this week at the university where I work as a learning technologist. So I'm now a learning technologist officially, which is nice to have a job title that actually, I don't know, that is kind of a known job title, I suppose. Do you know what a learning technologist does? You've no idea, have you?
Well, I would assume that you are presumably helping to design. I presume by technologist it means information technology, as opposed to, you know, you're going to get out a a wood lathe and some chisels or anything like that.
Exactly.
So I think you're going to use computers and modern design stuff to try and assist in people's learning.
I am, exactly that. So from leaving my old job, I got some nice presents through the post. And one of them was a big box of craft ales and beers that I've never tried before. So that's going to keep us going on the podcast for a while. Unfortunately, you can't share any of it with me because... I
presume thereby us, what you mean is you.
But what I've got this week then is not from that collection because I did have some stocked up. And this is Thornbridge, so we're going back quite local today, which is obviously brewed not too far away at all. Is it Derbyshire Thornbridge?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Towards Bakewell, I think.
Yeah.
Thornbridge, yeah, quite well known local brewery. I had that giant.
Yeah, Bakewell. Yeah, Bakewell. And it's Green Mountain. There we go. So Green Mountain Hazy Vermont Session IPA. That's my beer for this week. What have you got, Fisher?
I've got some Maltsmiths, which is very much a can that I just found lying around in my garage. Pilsner style. It says it looks like it's something Peter. It says on the tin. It's clean, crisp, and citrusy, which is all right. I mean, can't complain with that. I think it looks like it's distributed by Heineken. I think it's a German beer, so it's made with a healthy respect for German brewing, which I suppose when it comes to things you want to respect in life, then German brewing obviously is one of them because they make some good beers. Maybe not quite as popular as Belgian beer. So I think in terms of German beers, is it designed a little bit differently to on the beers that are very, very popular in certain regions? So there's certain regions where Krombacher might be popular, or certain regions where I think is Veltin's German that might be popular, or Fells, or other German beers. You've got no idea, clearly.
I've got no idea, and I was going to do a quiz the other day as well about British lagers, popular British lagers, and where they're brewed. Particularly ones that are supposedly from other countries, and they're all a lot of them are brewed actually in the UK. And actually, I found out the quiz was going to be pretty pointless because 80 to 90% of them are brewed in the UK, not actually imported anyway.
Yeah, are they all brewed in Burton-on-Trent anyway, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, there was one of them that I was drinking a bottle of Kingfisher the other day, which you normally have with a curry, don't you? And it's an authentic Indian lager, it's described as, with all the sort of spicy, all the things that you kind of you'd want in an Indian lager, brewed in Hartlepool.
Well, there you go.
Have you been to Hartlepool before?
I've never been. Do you know much about Hartlepool? Or?
I have been to Hartlepool before.
Angus the Monkey was the mascot of the Hartlepool Football Club. Yeah, and it was town mayor as well. I think at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah. But for strange, they get called the Monkey Hangers, don't they? In Hartlepool, or the football team do. And that's why it's called Hangus the Monkey, because I think it's something about they hung a sailor who they didn't realise was a person, or that's the kind of mythical story behind it all anyway. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. That's the kind of urban myth, I suppose.
Well, it was something to do with someone who they suspected was a spy.
Yeah.
Who they hung, yeah. But yeah. I don't know. I'm not too sure of the details. But have you poured your... I've just poured my beer and it kind of went everywhere a little bit. But
again,
I made a reasonable fist
I'm
of
being
it.
mucky and drinking straight out of the can, no messing about. So there we go.
All right. I'll try my cake as well and see what that's like.
Yeah, and I'll try my crunchy. So it's time for, joke we should have done last episode, isn't it, Fisher?
I think I actually alluded to it. Which obviously we did. That's nice, that cake, by the way. My wife made it.
Oh, is it? Is it? Well,
yeah.
The crunchy looks very nice.
Yeah. She didn't make that. But yeah, she made her own birthday cake, so well done to her. And on the last episode, we were talking about gladiators, and obviously it transpired that a lot of what Gladiators was all about is, being a former personal trainer, and now you work owning a gym, pretty much, is what all Gladiators did do and now do. And I said that it would be hilarious to start the quiz if I got my whistle out and did an impression of John Anderson.
I beg your pardon?
I think we're about to do your possession, your show and tell
We are.
item. Is that okay?
Yep.
So I thought I would go, Jimbo, you will go on my first whistle. Fisher, you will go on my second whistle.
So should we go?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Now
So
show and tell.
I know I'd have already lost, wouldn't I? The gladiators would have already caught me. But anyway, so my show and tell.
Well, they won't set off yet because I want to blow my whistle.
True. So my show and tell item, Fisher, is this, and I don't know if you can tell what it is.
Looks like a lock.
It is a door lock, or the inside of it, the mechanism that would go inside a door. Okay.
Yeah,
So
more commonly known as a lock.
yeah, but it doesn't always have to have a lock on it, does it? They can still have the sort of contraption that allows the in and out of the. You know what I mean? But anyway,
Well, you see,
it
you
is a
see
lock.
You see just below where your thumb is there.
That is a lock. I know that.
That's the lock.
I get that. Okay, let's just say, okay, it's a door lock then, okay.
Yeah.
So, two possible reasons why I've got this for show and tell, okay, and what the story behind this is, okay. So reason number one is that this morning I was reaching up onto a high shelf at my property where I am residing, and as I was trying to get something, I didn't see this was on the top shelf, and it fell quite high from the shelf and landed on my toe, cutting it quite badly and causing quite a lot of painful throbbing. Okay, so that's reason number one. You can quiz me more on it later on. Number two is that this lock is actually a strange souvenir from a time my dad had a Halloween party, and my brother Jack was dressed as Darth Vader, and he fell asleep on the toilet. So my dad had to break the door down in order to get him off the toilet because he was a bit worried about him, and I think he just passed out from having too much to drink. And as you can see, this is why it doesn't look in very good condition, and that's actually kind of hanging off. Okay, so that's the two reasons.
So I will I'll obviously ask my questions now and begin my answer. So first and foremost, are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay, that's good. What do you do when you cut your toe?
I swore
Yep.
quite loudly. It was only me here, so that's fine. No children around. I then realised that straight away it was already bleeding. So I came back up the stairs to the kitchen to get some kitchen roll, and I sat with holding some kitchen roll to it until the bleeding had stopped.
Okay.
And I considered, because of the pain, the throbbing pain afterwards was so painful, I thought it might be a good idea to follow the advice of former England international Darius Vassell and go and get a power tool and screw and drill into my... No, I'm only joking. Obviously, we covered that last week, didn't we, in the freak football injuries section quiz that I did.
We did. So what were you wearing on your feet at that particular point in time?
Nothing, actually, because I'd not got changed, so I was bare feet. I had clothes on. I wasn't completely naked. I was wearing kind of my pyjama bottoms and my top.
To be clear,
Just
all
making
I asked was,
sure.
What were you wearing on your feet? Not anything else. I'm not too bothered about. I wasn't suspecting you were wearing a bulletproof vest for getting
Wearing my
something down from the
nightie.
top shelf. But I don't particularly walk around the house very often in bare feet. I would normally have either, as a bare minimum, flip-flops on, or socks, or slippers because I'm an old man.
That is you though, all round. I would definitely have you down as a slippers man.
I even wear my slippers when I go out and put the rubbish out to the bin and all that sort of stuff.
To be
Lovely
fair,
slippers.
I'm not the biggest fan of being bare feet. I like to have at least socks on. I don't like slippers, but I do like to have socks on in the house. I just don't like getting kind of fluff on my feet and stuff. But on this occasion, I just had bare feet.
Okay, well, yeah, that's all right. So why had you got that in the house anyway?
As I say, for reason number one. If you're asking me about reason number one, Sorry. Assuming that number one is true, which it may or may not be. Yeah.
This lock is obviously in your house for what I can tell is no particular reason.
So for reason number one, I don't know what this is. It was just on the shelf when I was getting something else down.
Well, you don't know what it is. It's a lock. We established that earlier.
I didn't know it was there. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know where it's from. I didn't know it was there.
Is it yours, or was it in the property when you moved in, like that? Like those porn DVDs a few years ago, and And the voice recorder thing.
In the property when I moved in.
It was in the property when you moved in, right? Okay. And under the second scenario, you're saying that your brother Jack,
Yep,
fell asleep on the lavatory.
mm-hmm.
Was it a party? Did you say?
It was a Halloween party at my dad's house. A lot of my friends went. Not you, obviously.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. So
I think you was away in Manchester. To be fair, I think it was during the university years.
Well, it don't make any sense because I think you're at the University of Manchester, but never mind. I think that I know you do quite...
Yeah, Leicester. Yeah, sorry, I get you now. Yeah,
Leicestershire.
You worked in Manchester.
Yeah. So I know you quite like fancy dress, and we've established that. Were you at the fancy dress party?
I was at the fancy dress party.
What were you dressed as?
I was dressed as the dictator from Sacha Baron Cohen. And we've mentioned in recent podcasts, haven't we?
We have, yes. So by dictator, do you mean that you were a very rudely shaped root vegetable? Is that what we're saying? I think that... What was Jack dressed as?
Jack was dressed as Darth Vader.
Right, okay. So when he was sat on the toilet, did he kind of have it all covered with his skirt below him?
I don't recall trying to be in the area while my dad was kicking the door down, as I didn't want to see my brother sat on the toilet, to be honest.
Okay.
But you know,
so
fortunately, my dad did a great job, you know, of getting because it was quite a scary time because we couldn't see Jack on the other side. My dad was quite worried, and obviously my dad's probably in the time would have been in his late 40s. It's obviously quite a challenge to kick an old door down, but the force was with him. The force was strong, so he got the door down to get our brother, who was dressed as Darth Vader, off the toilet.
Could he not just... I don't obviously know the exact mechanism of this lock, but normally on a lock, there's normally something on the other side of it that you can twist to unlock it, just to make sure you don't get little kids trapped in the toilet on their own. Yeah,
that's the thing. This lock was already not working, so this is... Although this is a lock, this is also the latch of the door, so when you pull the handle down, it goes in and so on. The lock section of it wasn't working anyway, so there was a makeshift lock on the other side, which was more like one of those slide...
A latch,
a thing that you slide across.
So your dad effectively, what he had to do was break a lock that was already broken, and then also smash through the latch on the other side.
Yes.
What was the effect on the actual door itself?
Oh, the door was buggered.
Yeah. Did he just end up like knocking down the entire wall in the house just to try and get in?
No, he managed to get in, but the door was quite badly damaged. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I suppose my final question is, how come you've now got it?
Because it kind of, I think it was a bit of a, because all my friends were there. A lot of my friends were there, apart from yourself, obviously.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it was quite funny because it was one of those occasions where, you know, bearing in mind my dad was dressed as Harry Hill off TV Burp at the time, and my dad already looks like Harry Hill.
So just put a pair of glasses on and get some long sleeves on his. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it came with a bold mask thing. Obviously, he didn't have to wear that. So
I would sort of say that, to the best of my knowledge, Harry Hill is not a particularly well-known Halloween character.
Well, you know, I just thought it'd look really good if so the fact that all my friends were laughing because Harry Hill was kicking a door down to get Darth Vader off the toilet. Yeah. We had a laugh about it afterwards, and my dad just said to me, "Do you want this as a souvenir?" As he does, he gives me a lot of stupid things because we were all laughing about it the day after. And I found this with my fancy dress stuff, so I actually found it with my other fancy dress items. Including the dictator outfit that I've got, so that would have been why it was with all that.
Okay, so I think it's time for a decision, and I will go for that. Your dad broke the lock to get Jack out of the toilet.
So the second one,
I don't know. You're smiling. You just injured yourself this morning. Got your foot open.
The second one, there's a bit of truth in it. The story itself did actually happen, and my dad did have to kick a door down to get my brother, who was dressed as Darth Vader, off the toilet. because he'd passed out. That's true, but this isn't from that. In fact, I don't know where this is from and whose it was originally, what door it's come off. But I was trying to get something down off a high shelf this morning, and this fell off. It struck me on the toe, and my toe's really, really hurting now still. I think I might have really damaged my toenail because there was quite a lot of blood. So yeah, that happened this morning. So actually, my show and tell item changed just as of this morning. In fact, I was angry and I threw this back up onto the shelf right where I can't reach it, and then I thought, I actually want that now because I want that to be a show and tell item. So after this, I'll be throwing this back up, putting it in the bin, so I never have to see it again. There you go.
So when you went to get it back out off the top shelf,
yes,
did it then fall off again and land on your other foot? Or
I was very worried about that, but I made sure that was not going to happen. So no, I sorted that out.
Okay.
Enjoy that?
Yeah, it was very good.
I can't believe you were locked into the wrong answer again there, Fisher.
Hey, thank you very much.
So, on to your little feature. What have you got for us?
Well, I'm putting together a quiz for my work colleagues again.
Oh, here we go. Using the Waste of Web Space podcast as your guinea pig.
No, not particularly. I might take a couple of questions that I'm using on today's and put it into the next thing. That's because I said I was doing the biscuits and chocolate.
Yeah, how did that go down?
Quiz. Well, it went down that well that they've asked me to do another one. So
oh, right, okay.
I was kind of thinking, so put something that's really stupid, and I'll just someone else will do it. Yeah, we'll not bother with this again. But he said, oh, it's quite good. Can you do another one? so there we go. And I'm also doing a quiz next Friday night as well. To which Steve and Karen, who are watching this podcast, they might end up on the quiz. So I've got to make sure I'm not using the same questions again. So I think I've got 3 quizzes to put together in the space of this week. But yeah, when you're just an expert quiz person like me, I'm sure you can do it fairly easily. So I've got some questions in particular because the quiz is about food and or particularly about drink, the one I'm doing for work. I thought I would try and finish that quiz with questions about things that people have done whilst they're drunk.
Okay, does this involve getting stuck on a toilet dressed as Darth Vader?
It does not. I thought my first question might be to actually give a bit of a shout out to the local pub, the Commercial on Station Road.
Yes, definitely.
You've been in the Commercial a few times and met him there.
I have. Oh yeah.
I just wondered whether or not you could roughly guess at how many whiskies they sell.
Okay. I know it's gonna have. I know they have a lot of whiskey tasting nights as well, which I think is probably even more whiskies that they don't have in stock, brought in by somebody else. To be fair, so that's only adding to what they've already got. I'm gonna say I wouldn't know what a large amount is and what a small selection is because I'm not particularly into my whiskies. Now, if I said to you, if you said to me you've got 5 whiskies in your cupboard, I'd be like, that's a large collection, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but I don't think it
fair,
is. Yeah,
I'm not a public house though. So
yeah, well, okay. So I would say let's go in the region of. I reckon they've got 220.
Well, you're close. They've got about 250, which I think is quite a reasonable collection. I suspect there's probably not many pubs, certainly in Yorkshire, that have got that amount of whiskey. So I thought it's quite worth a shout out.
Is that part of the question?
No, I just.
You always do this to me.
Often come on and plug various people. I thought I'd try and plug them a bit and do a bit for them.
Can I just chip in with an idea as well for them? I don't know. You might be able to pass this on. So I know another pub, New Barrack Tavern, which is also a very good pub on Penistone Road in Hillsborough. It's also the pub of a good friend of mine, Ozzy the Owl, not Ozzy the Owl, as often quoted wrong. Of the football team Sheffield. Again, another commentator mistake that I know winds up Ozzy Owl. I'm not going to say that. It's Sheffield Wednesday, of course. So, yeah, the New Barrack Tavern, what they were doing during the coronavirus pandemic is they were offering their customers to sponsor a bar stool. And they could have their name on a bar stool, the customer's name, and get a little certificate emailed through and stuff, saying that you'd sponsored that bar stool for a month. And it was just a kind of way to continue supporting the pub and, to get a shout out from your local pub and stuff like that. I thought that was quite nice. So whether there's something like that similar that the Commercial could do, I'd certainly, if it was an opportunity, I'd certainly like the Waste of Web Space to sponsor a bar stool.
Yeah, well, I think if you go in the commercial, anyone who's watching this who goes in the commercial will know that all the bar stools belong to one person in there who's very keen to have their own bar stool. That's a bit of an in-joke, because sometimes like that sort of stuff in there. Also, they have actually got their own gin distillery currently sort of operating from the same premises. And they're now distilling their own gin and vodka under the name of the Sheffield Distillery, brewed by the banks of the Blackburn Brook, which is not anywhere near as impressive as it sounds. But do you know how many gins they sell in the commercial, roughly?
Oh, if they've got their own distillery, then.
Well, I think they've only got about 60 different bottles of gin, but yeah. In terms of their own gin.
Okay. Should we say more than that, then? Let's go 320.
No, it's just over 100.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough.
Which is still quite a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you go to a specialist gin bar, I'd be impressed if the specialist gin bar would have more than 100 gins, so it's quite a lot.
Hold on a minute. I need an alert sound, but I haven't got one available to me. I've got some news, okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to start a rumour right here on the Waste of Web Space podcast, okay? So, in my property, it's below an empty commercial property. And I was entering my... this is Could Wear a Chapeltown podcast. We need to shout out about Chapeltown things. I know we're going off track a bit here. But there was a couple, as I was entering my my accommodation, looking through the windows of this commercial property, and they sort of stopped and asked me, you know how long this has been empty for, this commercial property below yours? And I said, it's quite some time now, at least since, before September when I moved in and all that. And they... And they said to me, and I said to them, are you interested in it? And they went, yeah, we want to open a new gin bar. And they've been back a number of occasions to look at the property, and they were actually in the property yesterday looking in more detail at it to consider opening it as a gin bar. So there might be, and the idea was that they think that obviously a lot of people are wanting going to be ready to go out after all of this, and to get back into sort of pub life and socialising. So they see it as a project to do over the course of the rest of the pandemic. Yeah.
So of course, I mean, that's going to be great, isn't it? Where you're working from home, below you've got someone refitting a shop below you, and then when it does all die down on Friday and Saturday nights, you can have a little bar just in the room below you.
Exactly.
Great stuff.
And I said, look, I'm happy with that, because they even said, well, we don't want it to do noisy or anything like that, which I'm sure they would say to the person who lives above it, which, I'm not fussy anyway. But I did say, look, as long as you put a serving lift in, one of those service lifts, I'm completely fine with that. Maybe some free drinks.
Yes, I sure they'll allow you to go downstairs on a Friday and Saturday night and have a few drinks in the bar, just the inconvenience of all that. So, well, that's hot off the press then, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If you want your local news, you get yourself down to the Waste of Web Space podcast.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously, if you live somewhere else other than Chapeltown, then it's probably not the most enthralling part of bit of thing you've ever heard, but never mind. So anyway, are we actually going to move on to the quiz that I've planned and have written? So, in particular, this is things that people have done whilst they're drunk, which obviously has got nothing to do with the commercial on Station Road, because I'm sure that they are a very responsible. Well, I know for a fact they are very responsible publicans who make sure that people do not leave the premises whilst they're drunken. They make sure that if they can barely stand up, then they'll give them another one to make sure they properly fall over on the floor and they can stay there all night. Is I think the way they do stuff. So there we go. So anyway, let's move on to people who've had too much to drink and what they've done while they've had too much to drink. So why did American Tim Crawley's drinking hit the headlines in August last year? Is it, having had one too many, he decided it would be a good idea to allow his pet tiger to go outside? The tiger ran off, leading to a 16-hour hunt for it, and was eventually shot by a tranquilizer dart. Or, having seen an injured bird fall out of the sky, he decided it needed to go to a local wildlife rehabilitation centre. He'd had too much to drink and couldn't drive, so he hailed an Uber to take the bird to the bird sanctuary.
So is this person famous or?
No, it's just a person.
Okay. So he had a pet tiger. Is that allowed? I mean, America, they can get away with anything, can't they?
I believe in America there are actually quite a lot of people who have pet. Well, not a lot of people, but there are a fair amount of people who have pet tigers. Actually, he died the other day, didn't he? One of Siegfried and Roy. Not sure which one it was.
No idea who they are.
You've got no idea. Oh, Siegfried and Roy. They were two German two German magicians who often did a lot of stage shows using wild tigers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they first worked together apparently on a cruise ship, and they got kicked off the cruise ship because they brought a live cheetah onto the ship with them and used it as part of the magical act. So they got kicked off and said they couldn't work together, and ended up doing these shows in Las Vegas.
What, being kicked off a cruise ship? Did they just sort of throw the cheetah and them two overboard, or did they wait till they docked first? I'm
sort of hoping they docked first and asked them to leave, because I don't think either Sequin Roy or cheetahs are very good at swimming, sort of, a few thousand miles. So doing a show in Las Vegas, and a few years ago, one of them whichever one it was who passed away, got mauled by a tiger in the middle of the actual act. And they had to cancel the act, and that was it. I think that was pretty much the last time that they performed together.
Right, okay.
But yeah, well-known musicians, probably from sort of 20, 30 years ago.
I think I'm going to go with the tiger one on this on this occasion. Then I think they accidentally let their pet tiger free while they were drunk, and then there was a bit of a search for it.
No, he didn't. He Ubered for a bird.
Oh.
Apparently, the first Uber driver kind of like turned up and he said, "Look, can you just take his bird to the bird sanctuary because he's not very well. This is where you need to go." And he apparently refused to do it. So another Uber driver came and did it instead.
Well, I mean, that's a nice thing for him to do while drunk, if anything.
Yeah,
he could do a lot worse.
Yes, very, very nice, very pleasant of him. Good on him. So what happened to a 38-year-old man from Marshfield, Wisconsin, when he went to the Quick Trip supermarket in October 2017? Is it that he got locked in a walk-in beer fridge for 6 hours and responded by drinking a load of beer? Or he went in to buy a bottle of bourbon, but his credit card was rejected. He responded by downing the entire bottle on the shop floor and then collapsed.
I mean, if you end up getting locked in a beer, a beer what? A beer fridge? Did you say? Or
beer fridge? Yeah.
And you're stuck in there, and I think it's perfectly acceptable to help yourself. You're stuck in there. You're going to need to keep yourself hydrated. So I think that's acceptable. The other one, maybe not so much. We mentioned bourbon or bourbon the other week, didn't we? In your sort of biscuit quiz that you did.
Yes, of course. The spelled
the same.
Yeah, but pronounced completely different.
Let's go with the first one, that he was locked in a beer fridge.
Well done, you were correct. Okay, so in August 2013, Chinese man Zhang Wu went on a heavy night drinking. What happened when he thought he entered his hotel room at the end of the night? Is it that he walked into a funeral parlour and slept in a coffin? He was found the next morning by the owner fast asleep in the front of the shop. Or he accidentally walked into a storage container, slept in there. The container was then sealed and moved to the docks, ready to be shipped overseas. Right.
Now, the first one could have ended very badly.
Yeah.
No, the wrong
the second
person.
one could have as well.
Well, yeah, true. Could you... Again, but both could have happened, definitely. I'm going to go on this occasion, though. I think he did the second one, and I think he nearly ended up getting,
Getting shipped somewhere.
Yeah.
Well done, you are correct. Apparently, he woke up in the shipping container, and obviously no one could hear the noise he was making or anything like that. He then got put into the docks, and he was about to get sent to Los Angeles inside the shipping container from China. But he managed to actually ring his friends and contact them and say, I think I'm in a shipping... I don't know where I am, I think I'm in a shipping container by the looks of it, and I've been moved somewhere. And I think they managed to roughly work out what site he'd been moved to, or whereabouts he was. But then all they knew was in a shipping container, and they couldn't work out which one he was in because there's loads of them there. So it took a while to actually get him and make sure he didn't get sent to Los Angeles. So there we go. A lot of these seem to happen in America as well, so I don't know if the people in the UK need to actually seriously beef up and increase on their drinking.
Oh, yeah.
And, properly try and challenge some of the people overseas in terms of stupid things you do when you're drunk. But having been caught in the act in a car park of a Waffle House in Loganville, Georgia, in November 2013, Rachel Gossett attempted to get dressed in front of the police. What happened? Is it she tried to put on what she thought was a sandal, but she was that drunk that she's put a cheeseburger on her foot? Or, unsure of what belonged to who, she confidently put her boyfriend's boxer shorts on her head, thinking it was a hat.
So putting a cheeseburger on your foot, or putting your boyfriend's boxer shorts on your head as a hat.
Yeah. So when you said you cut your toe this morning, had you really accidentally put a cheeseburger on there? You've got a bit of ketchup on your foot. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. That's it. So was it a double cheeseburger? Any more details on that? Single?
It simply says cheeseburger on either the news story or the thing I've made up, so I will simply leave it at cheeseburger.
Yeah. Okay.
I suspect if it was American, it's probably a supersized one, you would have thought.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. I want it to be the first one, but that does seem really bizarre. So let's go. It's the second one, and she put a boyfriend's boxer shorts on her head.
Nope, she put a cheeseburger on her foot, apparently.
Okay.
So what did Danny... obviously, when it comes to heavy drinking, you can't talk about heavy drinking without mentioning the Irish. So what did Danny Medley do while celebrating his 21st birthday in Dublin in 2016? Is it...
Did he sing? Did he sing a collection of all of his favourite songs all rolled into one? Is that what he did?
He didn't, unfortunately.
He didn't perform a medley.
He didn't perform a medley. Yeah.
Danny, it could have been Danny's medley.
He jumped in the River Liffey and did did all 4 strokes going back and forth. Yeah. So what did he do? Did he get his head stuck inside a novelty cardboard cutout leprechaun? So you know the things you get at the beach where you stick your head through it, yeah, one of those. Or did he drink a flaming sambuca and in the process he set all his hair on fire?
Now I know people who've made mistakes with things like flaming sambucas. One of the first times...
Yeah, drinking them in the first place.
Yeah, one of the first times I ever went out, a friend of mine had him. And it was one of the first times he would have gone out as well when we were very, very young, obviously 18 and above. But one of our first times going out clubbing, I think we went to Barnsley, because that was one of the sort of places you went in the early days. Yeah,
to Barnsley, yeah.
And it was a place called Heaven and Hell, which there was 2 rooms, and it really did heaven. And anyway,
it should have just been called Hell and Hell, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically. So. Someone ordered him a flaming sambuca, and he'd never seen one before, and it was obviously on fire around the rim of the glass, and he didn't know they had to blow out the flames before having a drink. So yeah, he nearly caused himself some pretty bad burns. But no, so the flaming sambuca one to me could be definitely real. What was the reasoning behind it again? What happened with it? What was
it was 21st birthday, so he was out drinking. Had a flaming sambuca and set all his hair on fire.
Yeah, so I can definitely see that happening. And then the first one again was...
he got his head stuck in a cardboard cutout leprechaun thing that you get at the seaside, the novelty things.
You see, they're meant to have people's heads in them, so, or at least faces in them. So get your head stuck, I think that would be something that the makers or the people who provide those would sort of consider. Unless he got a particularly big head, maybe, I don't know. So let's go with the second one. It was a flaming sambuca incident.
Nah, you're wrong.
Oh.
Video even went viral with his head stuck inside inside a leprechaun cardboard cutout thing. He seemingly couldn't get it out by the sounds of it. So in March 2015, police found a highly intoxicated 22-year-old man in a marina in Brittany, northern France. What was he doing? Is it he dug a hole using an oar, but had fallen in and was too drunk to get out? Or he was given an inflatable rubber dinghy CPR as he thought it was a person who collapsed?
Oh, I mean, the second one suggests that he'd had far more than alcohol in his system, I think. When
it came to doing the breathalyzer test, he just kind of got the valve of the dinghy and just untook some air and took them straight into the breathalyzer. I think was probably the best way. Yeah.
Could you dig a hole that far that you can't get out? I suppose if you've been drinking as well, it's even harder to sort of move and to climb and things like that. So let's go with the first one, that he dug a hole so deep that he couldn't get out of it.
Nope, he was giving CPR to a dinghy. As you do, obviously.
Was he making sure he was doing it to Staying Alive by the Bee Gees?
Yeah, or the popular one apparently for that is I think Staying Alive's not recommended quite as much now.
Oh, is it not?
A very popular one is the Macarena.
Ah, right, okay.
I think if you're performing CPR, you might want to check this out.
Obviously, I don't know the lyrics to the Macarena though.
Well, you don't. You just got just gotta try and pump it into the beat, right, which I think is about 110 beats per minute.
See, I once got this terribly mixed up when it was suggested that you have to do it to Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. I accidentally got it completely mixed up, and I did it to Killing Me Softly by the Fugees, which was not ideal. But anyway.
Yeah. But it must be very difficult, actually, trying to do the pumping, because obviously you try and pump the chest and do the Macarena. You're meant to be pumping the chest, but also at the same time you want to go like that. Obviously.
Yeah, it's not the easiest one to do. And also it sort of stops, doesn't it, and goes, yeah. So I don't I'm not sure that's the best suggestion, but anyway.
Yeah. Picking the body up and moving it 90 degrees to it, yeah. Probably worth pointing out.
This could be a good quiz. This could be a good quiz. I might do a quiz about songs that you could do CPR to, according to the beats per minute. That'll be coming up in a future episode. Yeah,
so you are aware that I'm a fully trained first aider, so I probably know most of the answers. But
but but you won't know every single song that's what beat per minute, and I could ask you anyway. I'll work it out.
Yeah, something to look forward to in the future. So, what did an intoxicated courtroom worker do in New York in 2012? That was only revealed in 2014, by the way. It was responsible for bringing defendants into the courtroom. Sensing he was drunk, a defendant asked to be uncuffed to go to the toilet. The defendant then handcuffed the courtroom assistant to a radiator and ran to freedom. Or, the courtroom worker was actually the person responsible for taking notes in the court. He wrote on the court notes, "I hate my job." And he did this continuously in the court notes for one particular day.
Because he was drunk?
Because he was drunk, yeah.
Oh.
Well, probably also the fact he hated his job as well, but he was drunk, which led to him doing that.
I think that if you got the sort of... I think if you got the ability to go into work and take yourself into work, you wouldn't sit there writing that. I don't think. I think you'd have been busy trying to cover up the fact that you were drunk. But I think the first one could be a mistake that somebody could have picked up on, that this person's intoxicated. I can get around them on this occasion. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the first one.
No, I'd be wrong again. I think by the sounds of it was a bit like, is it the film The Shining, where it's got someone saying, "All work and no play makes Jack something," or
all right,
something along those lines. So yeah, I think it was just continuous. He just kept writing, "I hate my job" on the court notes. I think it was about 30 odd cases that he'd gone through during the day, right. And it was meant to be no right. He just kept writing the same thing all the time. So there we go. Off to Sydney in Australia. And what did a drunk vegan called Cole Olsen, who sounds more like he should be Scandinavian, but he's from Sydney, what did he do in a McDonald's in 2017? Did he demand 200 chicken nuggets?
Did he try and put cheeseburgers on his feet?
Yeah, and the other said, you can't do that. You've only got one cheeseburger. You've got to make sure you got odd shoes on there. So you've got a cheeseburger and a chicken burger. Make sure you get the same things. Then you can put them on your feet. So did he demand 200 chicken nuggets and did 4 laps of the drive-through honking his horn? They were unavailable, so he ordered 200 hash browns instead. Or did he order 16 vanilla milkshakes, which he then poured on the floor and did a tummy slide across the tiled floor and careered into a wall?
I mean, the first one, I understand his need for hash browns, because McDonald's hash browns are something else. They really are really nice. They get them perfect. Yeah. I do love a McDonald's hash brown. Whether you just, I don't know whether you'd get drunk and demand that many of them. I don't know, but anyway. But
it was his second choice. Don't forget. He
yeah, true.
Chicken nuggets first up, and he was a vegan.
Yeah. Oh right. Yeah. True.
So he was a vegan, and he either ordered chicken nuggets or milkshake. So definitely one there that he's ordered that he shouldn't be having.
Well, maybe he would have done the milkshake thing as a belly slide then, to say, down with milkshakes. I'm not going to drink it, but I'm going to do a belly slide on them instead. Veganism and all that sort of thing. So,
was that the secret message behind Jurgen Klinsmann's goal celebrations? Then, you think?
Possibly. So let's go with the milkshake one.
No, he demanded some chicken nuggets.
Someone needs to do some sort of studies on me and how I can continuously guess more than half wrong all the time.
Well, to be fair, when I tested this last night on my wife Vicky, she was in a very similar boat to you as well. It took me a while to write the fake answer, so I wasn't very impressed that I got decent ones, but never mind. So anyway, only got 2 left. So, US politician Brian Kolb was caught drink driving in January 2020. What had he done the week before? Had he written a news article urging people not to drink drive, claiming it was harmful for all persons concerned? Or had he given evidence in a court case where he swore under oath that he was a credible witness, as he was teetotal and hadn't touched a drop of alcohol in the previous 15 years?
Okay. Just remind me the first. You might have to remind me of both of those, to be honest. But just a bit more on the first one. Tell me about that again.
So, he'd been caught drink driving, but what had he done a week before? Option 1 is that he had written a news article warning people of the dangers of drink driving. And said it's dangerous for all the people involved, for the driver, for the victim, for the passengers.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff. Or, secondly, he'd given evidence in a court case to say that, and to confirm that it was credible evidence, he said, I am a teetotaler, I do not drink.
And that was in a separate case the week before? Did you say?
Yeah, so completely separate. This is a drink driving thing.
Yeah.
He had previously, a week before in court, or may not have done, depending on whether I made this up, he'd said in a court case, I'm a credible witness, and he went on record to say that he didn't drink. But obviously it transpires a week later that not only did he drink, but he also drank and drove as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with B.
Okay, and of course, you'd be wrong. He got caught drink driving, having written an article a week before saying that you really shouldn't do it and it's dangerous for obvious reasons to everyone concerned, be it the drivers, the passengers, people who have accidents with. So
these ministers who write rules for everybody and and recommendations and stuff, they really should follow their own advice, shouldn't they?
I think they should. I think we might come on to that in a few minutes, probably when we get to the news section. But I think he actually obviously held his hands up and said, "Where am I? What's my name? You're my best mate in the world." But then he said, I think he resigned afterwards, or I think he was kind of very much caught in the act and couldn't not resign for it or whatever. So I think he certainly admitted his responsibility. So final question. How did Matthew Faulkner of Florida embarrass himself in front of the police in October 2011? Was he asked to give a breathalyzer sample, so he took out his inhaler and tried to make the inhaler blow into the breathalyzer machine? Or was it whilst drunk in his car, he was asked to identify himself? Instead of handing over his driving licence, he gave the police officer a taco.
What country was this in? Does it say?
America, obviously.
So
did you really need to ask?
The first one, did he got out his inhaler? He was asked by the police to provide a breathalyzer sample. So are you saying that he got out? He didn't understand. Obviously, whether he was drunk or whatever, he didn't understand what he was being asked for and gave them his inhaler. Or are you saying that he tried to, instead of using his own, he wanted to use his inhaler rather than his own breath?
Yeah. So I think instead of getting a blast of instead of breathing into the machine, which obviously will give a positive reading, you have the stupid idea that if you kind of put the inhaler down there and blast it on there, it would bring a bit of a jet of air in that might be fresh air that might be able to trick the machine into giving a reading where it was okay. So
he gave himself an inhaler, or he sent it down the breathalyzer, the inhaler?
No, he sent the inhaler thing down the breath.
But they'd surely see that though, wouldn't they? They'd see him doing that.
Well, yeah, that's why there ends up being a news report about it.
Okay.
They didn't say, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. This man has tested positive for being a medicine." What are the chances? And then, we gave him a urine test and just poured some orange juice straight in there, and we think he's 100% orange. This man, what's wrong with him?
You know what? I'm gonna go for it. And I've got a feeling I've guessed this completely wrong, but I think he gave them a taco instead of his driving license.
Yeah, he gave him a taco.
Yay! Good way to finish. At least I've got one right at the end.
Yeah. You're only as good as your last answer, Jimbo. Well done.
Thank you for that. That was good. I enjoyed that.
Thank you very much. My colleagues will be looking forward to it on Friday, no doubt.
Got an annoying cat problem? Fed up of yours? Keeps waking you in the middle of the night? Neighbour's cat's getting on your nerves? Then give us a call and we'll take those annoying cats and find them a new home with equally as annoying owners. And for those cats that are just unbearable, we'll into an incinerator, disposing of their cat litter in an environmentally friendly way. WeTakeAnyCat.com, excluding tigers, lions, meerkats, Cat Dealey and Cat Stevens. No, not even under the name Yusuf Islam. Okay, so on to the news then, and we've got a few bits to talk about, haven't we, Fisher?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's been a bit of a quiet... Well, a lot of stuff's quite quiet at the moment anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
But fortunately, we had a bit of a story that popped out yesterday. Well, it kind of surfaced on Friday night, I think, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was yesterday, really, that it seemed to take off a little bit. And it concerns Government Advisor Dominic Cummings.
So just a bit of background, Dominic Cummings is the advisor who's been already quite heavily criticised, hasn't he? During the mainly Boris Johnson's current reign as Prime Minister, but for being on sort of panels that allegedly being on panels and being in meetings that he shouldn't be in and various things like that as well, maybe having a bit too much of a say so than he should necessarily have or whatever.
Yeah, I think you often find, particularly in more recent years, that there have been people who you felt have been involved within the government who aren't elected, who are kind of advisors who are brought on board, people such as Alistair Campbell would be a good example, probably during Tony Blair's time as Prime Minister. His Director of Communications quite heavily involved. I think at one point David Cameron used Andy Coulson, who used to be the editor of the News of the World. And he was
described as spin doctors, basically, aren't they?
Yeah, to some degree, which I think is sort of similar-ish to what Dominic Cummings is. And he decided, I'm not sure if... Do you want me to take a lead on this story?
Yeah,
or
you
not?
go for it.
Oh, well, go on then. It doesn't take... It takes quite a lot to kind of get me quite annoyed, really. So what he did was, he went... He was displaying... Sorry, his wife was displaying symptoms of coronavirus. And upon that moment of having symptoms of coronavirus, the government guidance is clear that you should self-isolate in your home and not leave the home. And the same for other people in your family. You are told by the government that you should ensure that you do not leave the house. You get any food or medicines that you need delivered to you via the internet, or you speak to people, or you speak to friends, family, and ask them to deliver them to you. So he decided to drive 260 miles to Durham to stay near where his family was so that people, if needed, could look after his young child. Which, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of people have come out and defended him, saying that he's only doing what any parent would like. He's only caring for his child, and there's nothing wrong with that, and you shouldn't criticise people for caring for the child. And quite right, you shouldn't criticise people for caring for the child. What you maybe should criticise them for is actually being part of a government who pushes out these particular guidelines. There have been millions and millions of people in this country who've had to go without, who've not had a chance to see family, who've not had a chance to go to families' funerals, who've not had a chance to... There are young children probably who've been born who haven't even met their grandparents yet because they're not allowed to. And we have someone who's at the heart of number 10 Downing Street who is pushing out this message for the benefit of people in the country to stay healthy, to stop the pandemic virus from getting around, and he goes and directly ignores the clear guidance in place. And I find it absolutely, completely and utterly laughable that we've now got our health secretary saying that what he did was perfectly understandable and totally... I think Matt Hancock's words were, it is exactly the right thing to do. What exactly the right thing to do is ignore the guidance that has been put in place by Public Health England. And we say the right thing... We've got the Attorney General who says that... I think her words were that it was perfectly understandable, right? That you think, well, actually, there's a lockdown law in place saying that you shouldn't be leaving the home other than food shopping, going for 20 minutes exercise, and this is ignoring the fact he's actually got symptoms of coronavirus. You know, we'll gloss over that purely for breaking the lockdown. There's clear guidance in terms of how you should and shouldn't be doing it. And she says, oh, it's fine, it's understandable. I think you're the person who's in charge of enforcing law in the country.
There's regular people people being fined, isn't there? You know, regular people like you, me, and everybody else who are you know, possibly not, you know, not doing anything purposely to be a pain or to be anything like that, but they are being fined for doing similar things to what he's been doing. Yet he's being defended for doing it bearing in mind he was part of the government that has written these guidelines.
It's just a complete and utter double standard. We've got government ministers who are tweeting about him, saying that it's fine, what he's done is perfectly understandable. I'd suspect, to be fair, some of the government ministers probably don't want to have to tweet it, but they've been told that they have to.
Yeah.
Boris Johnson, as Prime Minister, hasn't tweeted anything at all, which very much kind of gives an indication of his kind of leadership, that he will happily... When I do things, sort of, I captain my cricket team, and there's certain areas where I take sort of leadership roles. I always think that you should never ask someone to do something that you wouldn't be prepared to do yourself. And as leader, you should be stood there at front. You should be, directing and saying this is what you should do, and people can follow behind me. You don't just sit there at the end and just whip people into place.
He's continuing with the absent Prime Minister sort of look that he's got going for himself, hasn't he? Because he's been very absent, hasn't he, recently? And obviously people questioning where he is. But as well as that, the fact that the rules themselves are very, very confusing and very... They don't make any sense. I mean, the one that I saw the other week was... Or in the middle of the week, was Matt Hancock answering questions on some of these new guidelines, and the fact that you can see your parents, but you've got to, and this is talking about parents where they are there in the same household as well. You can see them, but keeping social distancing measures, but not together at the same time. Yet you can see them, according to Matt Hancock, when he was asked this question, 10 minutes apart, which makes absolutely no sense, and it just confuses everybody. And then yet and then going back to Dominic Cummings, you've got someone like him just completely ignoring every bit of advice anyway that he's written. It is disgusting.
There's a lot of people talking about breaking lockdown, but he had the symptoms of coronavirus, and so did his wife, and therefore it was clear you should self-isolate. And he drove 260 miles to a certainly different. I mean, is he trying to just go with this herd immunity thing and take it to a different part of the country? I mean, it just is. But it's the response to it. Do you know the former England cricketer Michael Vaughan?
Yep.
I'll not say exactly what he said, but basically said, why don't you just admit that you messed up and apologise and kind of move on? And the amount of times that I kind of get a little bit fed up of picking up the newspaper and reading a story about a Premier League footballer who's been caught not obeying the lockdown. We've had Mason Mount from Chelsea. I think Declan Rice from West Ham was playing footy with him, so they both kind of doing it. There's a number of Tottenham players, including Serge Aurier. There's been
Kyle Walker.
Kyle Walker, yes, quite notably. I think a few Arsenal players have been pictured out and about. And every time you get the football club saying something along the lines of, we have reminded him of his social responsibilities and he accepts that he has a position as a role model. I mean, to be fair to football, he probably doesn't actually think this or care this. And you get kind of a statement from him saying, I really apologise to Jack Grealish. I really do apologise for the way I behaved, and I'll make sure that I'm a better person in the future and all this sort of stuff. And don't get wrong, those apologies are very, very hollow. Or at least there is some kind of acknowledgement that they've done something wrong.
Whereas there's absolutely not a scrap of that, is there? From and it's the second government advises to ignore the rules as well, isn't it? He's not the first one either.
He's not a government. Well, the previous person
Ferguson,
who was called Neil Ferguson.
Yeah.
I don't think he's officially a government advisor. I think he's a scientist from Imperial College or UCL or something like that. And he'd been giving advice to the government. I don't think he was officially an appointed government advisor. But he was certainly someone who they used to help implement the lockdown rules and that kind of the concept around that. And I think, to be fair, the severity of those things are slightly different. And that the person who was clear in terms of this, what you should do for lockdown, and particularly pushed implementing it and science behind that, quite rightly should resign.
Yeah.
I don't think Dominic Cummings is quite in the same league from that point of view, but nonetheless, he knows what the rules are. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows what the rules are, and in particular, he's actually quite a high-profile person who is helping to push the government message out, and by the looks of it, he just doesn't give a toss about them.
Exactly.
And Boris Johnson doesn't seem to be doing anything at all to make him to hold him to account for it.
We'll have to see
which is what I find even worse.
I think the pressure's growing though, so we'll see what happens over the next few days. But let's hope that people don't forget, and next time there becomes an opportunity to vote for something, people really think about, and remember next time that it was very clear that there are obviously more important things than Brexit. And next time when people go to vote, they'll remember the way that their government responded to certain things and acted during certain things. Yeah, don't get me wrong, they've obviously done certain things to try and help people and so on, but they've also done a lot of things and portrayed themselves quite badly in many cases as well. And I won't forget, and I'm hoping a lot of other people won't either.
Well, you can't stand there and push and tell people to do certain things and then not do it yourself.
Yeah.
You just have no credibility. It's just so embarrassing, really, to sort of see that happen. And there are people rushing out and they're sort of defending him. I do almost feel a little bit sorry for some of the people who get pushed out to do some of this stuff. I mean, yesterday at the daily press briefing, they sent Grant Shapps, Transport Secretary, out, and all he talked about was kind of like getting a new road to run on the A.66 or whatever it was, or that kind of thing. You think, well, that's got nothing to do with coronavirus. They're trying to avoid and push the story away. So it's the general refusal to actually acknowledge that anything wrong has happened, and the double standards and hypocritical nature of it is what I find really quite bad and quite disgraceful.
So, shall we move on?
No, I want to carry on talking about it, actually. I really find this appalling as in a terrible way. Sorry.
Shall we talk about something a bit lighter?
Yeah, go on.
Sex dolls. They're pretty light.
Yeah. Well,
allegedly.
Nowadays, you can get really decent ones. I think they're quite well made and quite sturdy, apparently. Yeah.
So South Korea, we mentioned this last week, didn't we? A few sort of when sort of sports have started to return, they've started to put things like cardboard cutouts and things, and they've used inflatable fans and stuff like that. But South Korea just decided that they'd use inflatable sex dolls at their games. Was it at football matches as well?
Football match, yeah. I think it might be an FC Seoul, actually. Which sounds more like a kind of some kind of pub entertainment act on a Friday night, obviously. So let me have a double check as to exactly which team it was, because I didn't really read the story that closely, to be fair.
I mean, the story might have been inflated slightly, obviously. It might have been taken out of context, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it was FC Seoul.
Yeah,
they apologized. Yeah, someone managed to apologise, after they accidentally used sex dolls rather than normal mannequins. But by the looks of it, though, I mean, they looked like they were dressed.
Yeah.
In sort of normal clothes. I think they just sort of said they got in touch with a local shop who said, any chance we could have some mannequins? He said, yeah, just use these, they're fine.
Well, if they've dressed them and they don't look too, too rude or anything or too X-rated, then I think it has probably been blown out of proportion. Yeah. And it's probably just a lot of hot air, isn't it, Fisher?
Hey.
So, yeah.
To be fair, they're wearing football shirts, which is probably not kind of your typical thing that a sex doll would wear. I would have thought. I mean, depends what you're into, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Maybe Kyle Walker, instead of spending his money on what he spent it on, could just get a couple of those in.
Yeah.
He said he spent like $2,500 on his night of entertainment. So yeah, get a couple of those in. They probably cost.
Were the sex dolls socially distancing? Because you've got to remember that these sex dolls might be they might not be just used for this purpose. They might be used again later on. So they should have been. I hope they were taking precautions.
It is recommended after you've used one, you should always use an alcohol wipe to fully sanitize afterwards. Is the general recommended advice for these kind of things. It does actually, looking at the pictures, it does look like they're seated 2 meters apart as well. So it's got one of them, then it's got two empty chairs, then another one, then two empty chairs, then another one. Yeah. And there's a few rows back between them as well.
Yeah.
So I've just read one of the comments on it. It says, just look at their breasts. They were 4 times bigger than those of the normal mannequins. It was so obvious they were sex dolls. So it's slightly discriminatory to people who've just generally got big breasts, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, and what if the mannequins in general have just got smaller breasts than normal?
Yeah.
So,
might see a rise in mannequins going for surgery.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a story that entertained us somewhat. What else has there been, Jimbo?
I mean, arguably there's a slight link here, but like there's a nurse in Russia, wasn't there, who decided to wear a bikini underneath her PPE, not realizing how see-through the PPE would be. So, which, you know, for some patients, that might be a very nice sight. To see a nurse walking around in a bikini with her PPE over the top of it.
Yeah, I'll say it might be. Yeah, I suppose the sort of slightly interesting thing is depends what ward she was working on. Imagine if she was on the heart attack ward. People with coronary illnesses all of a sudden kind of got to see a young lady with sort of some very flimsy PP and a bikini underneath it.
What about if she was working on the sort of problems ward where people, erectile dysfunctions ward or something, and then it's like, sorted, it's a miracle, we're sorted.
Fine.
Or if that's something they're not trying, maybe they ought to try that.
Get yourself down to South Korea for some additional assistance, yeah. So yeah, all a bit of an interesting one there. So I'm trying to find our notes document, Jimbo.
But the next thing is the scientists, and this may be something that maybe our scientific advisors, with some of the advice, the stuff I mentioned about seeing your parents separately, but you can see them 10 minutes apart. Bearing in mind what difference is that going to make at all, if anything? Because if you've got one of you's got coronavirus. Yeah,
bear in mind your parents live together.
Yeah.
So kind of. Yeah.
But scientists went cuckoo apparently from laughing gas at penguin poo. So some scientists have been working and researching on penguin poo and also other things like bat poo and stuff like that, and its effect on the environment and greenhouse gases and stuff like that. And apparently, because they've been working with this penguin poo so long, the gas in it has kind of sent them a little bit loopy when working with it too much. Which might explain, if our scientists were working on that sort of stuff as well before then sort of tackling the coronavirus, maybe this is why some of the guidelines have been so wildly unclear. Yeah, possibly. So that was just a little thing I noticed. But yeah, so what do you do about that if penguin poo's causing sort of greenhouse gases? I suppose, are penguins endangered? I mean, obviously, you wouldn't want to see any sort of mass termination of penguins, would you?
Was it actually penguin poo, or was it small bits of penguin biscuit?
Yeah, it could have been, I suppose.
Have been left on the floor next to it.
And just lots of terrible jokes, just destroying the atmosphere. And useless
slowly
facts.
ground down their mental health.
Yeah, possibly. That might be it.
It's understandable.
And then just a final little thing on this. This is a nice little story I thought I'd finish with here. There's as everybody is at the minute, having to do a lot more online shopping than we would have once used to. In fact, most people are doing online shopping now, whether that, you can't just go out and look for a gift for someone anymore, can you? You kind of have to look for everything online. And somebody ordered a personalised wine glass for their either wife or girlfriend. And when you have to personalise a gift, you've got to write in the notes section, haven't they? But I think he wrote into the notes section, the bit that you need to, where you put your personalisation, he wrote some delivery instructions on there instead, accidentally. So when his wife or partner actually got, and I'm trying to load up the news story here, but when they actually got the wine glass, it had the delivery instructions engraved onto the wine glass instead. And it actually said, can we have it delivered before Monday if possible, as that is her 30th? Nice one. On the side of the wine glass. But obviously his wife or partner's taking it really well because it's a nice sort of souvenir now and a funny sort of reminder of the online order gone wrong. But have you ever done anything like that when you tried to get anything personalised before?
I've personalised things, but I've always got it right. Full enough, I've always paid attention. So,
yeah.
What did the message say in it again? Sorry, did it say that please make sure you get it for a certain date?
Yeah.
So not only is he making himself look a bit stupid, he's also telling his wife that he's very unorganised.
Yeah.
And he's sort of getting that as a bit of a last minute rush.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I know before somebody was ordering some a stamp, so when you make cards or when you make cards and you want to personalise them at the end to say this was handmade by someone. Yeah. I know someone who ordered one of those and they'd spelt it wrong and it came back saying made rather than handmade. So that was a bit of a disappointment for them. But yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of other personalised gift mistakes, and maybe again that could form the basis of a future quiz.
Yeah, maybe getting tattoos with spelling mistakes or incorrect names. Wasn't there a quiz question we did a few years ago, an end of year quiz, where it got someone who had their son's name incorrectly tattooed on their arm, so they changed their son's name by default.
Possibly. Yeah.
I'll, if you play the next thing, I'll jump on and see if we can find the question from a while ago.
Sponsor the Waste of Web Space podcast today and see your business boom. Boom, boom, boom. We have a guaranteed listenership of at least 5,000... Sorry, just 5. Jimbo, Fisher, Fisher's wife, Fisher's cat, and sometimes Fisher's dad. Especially since retiring from working for Schweppes. He's got a lot more time on his hands now. For a very low price per episode, we can give you absolutely nothing in return. Yes, nothing. But we will look favourably on your products and services. We have a range of advertising packages available to suit every business need and budget, from sticking your poster in our own toilet, right up to occasionally mentioning your services in our podcast. Or for the Platinum package, we'll make you an absolutely banging advert just like this one. Get in touch today. Or tomorrow, or the day after that, or whenever, really.
Jimbo and Fisher, I do a space podcast. Bonjour.
Okay, so I thought I'd do a really, really quick feature because I don't want us to go too long today. We've already had an hour and 10 minutes of us. So what I thought I'd do, though, is this was one of those weeks where I kept trying to start a quiz and it weren't quite working. So I've got some that I'm going to go back to the drawing board with. But then what I thought I'd do is a quiz about slang. Because it's something that occasionally crops up, and I keep thinking, all the things that we say in the podcast that maybe our listeners don't understand, because we've got listeners from all over the world and all over the UK, and even in the UK, we have all of our different sort of slang and words that we use in different regions, haven't we? So sometimes they might hear us refer or say something that doesn't make much sense. So I thought we'd do something about slang on the podcast. Now, one word, for example, that doesn't feature in our quiz is Mardy. And that's something that's a bit of a Sheffield term, isn't it? And a Yorkshire sort of term. But actually, the Arctic Monkeys probably popularised that a few years ago, so that more than just the sort of region of Sheffield and the sort of South Yorkshire or Yorkshire area understands that now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a brilliant idea for a quiz. I think it's a really all right idea.
Well, it's about trying to support others. Yeah, go.
Yeah, no, I was just going to jump in and just say that Swedish mother Johanna Sandström hit the headlines in 2018 because she got a tattoo of her son's name on her arm. The tattooist put the name Kelvin when her son was called Kevin. The result was that she legally changed his name to Kelvin. So that's what that's a question that we asked on the end of year quiz a couple of years ago.
That's really funny. So on to our slang then. So here we go. Got 10 questions for you. It won't take very long. We'll just whiz through them really quick. So number 1, in Liverpool they use the word minty to describe what? Minty to describe what? A, someone with lots of money, or B, an unpleasant smell?
Is it a character from EastEnders who owned a garage? And it was on I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here last year, wasn't
he? All right, okay.
I think he was really, really lazy and just basically spent the entire day just laying around sleeping in bed.
Well, you're on holiday, why not?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think from what a few people say when they're on I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here, they often come off and say there's not really that much to do. I think when Ant Deck said to him, why did you actually come on the programme in the first place? He said, I just got quite a big bill from the taxman that I need to pay, so I want to try and get some money.
Honest.
Well, yeah, nothing wrong with that. So minty, yeah, it could obviously be either something that smells nice, as in mints, smells fresh, or someone that's got a lot of money, i.e. is minted.
Yep. I didn't say unpleasant smell for B.
Unpleasant smell?
Yes.
Right, because you'd expect it to be a nice smell. Well, it depends whether you like mint or not, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think it could be an unpleasant smell.
Congratulations, yeah. So, I think, the phrase, they are minted, gets used quite a lot in maybe around different parts of the country, doesn't it? And that kind of means that they are well off, doesn't it, in money-wise? But no, in Liverpool, if you say, use the word minty, it describes an unpleasant smell, apparently. It's quite a new, young slang word, possibly. So, 2, in Manchester, you might know this one, Fisher, from your time working there. A prannock is slang for what? Do you want multiple choice?
What, a prannock?
A prannock.
Multiple choice would be much assistance, in all honesty. I mean, I've got a 50% chance of getting it right.
A, an idiot, or B, an old car?
Well, I've never been called a prannock, which means that it could well be... could well obviously be... could well mean that it's an old car, clearly. I've genuinely never heard that phrase. So I think why, and I can't think of anything particularly links into it. It doesn't sound like anything else. So I can't think of any other phrases that would come off from there. I think it must be an idiot.
Think so?
Yeah.
Well done. 2 out of 2. Next then, in Cardiff, a rig is slang for A, a face, or B, knee.
A rig. So as in oil rig.
Yeah, R-I-G.
Right. None of them particularly give any indication. I've never. If you rig something up, you prepare something, but then that doesn't particularly either link into either faces or knees. I don't know. What do you think it is? Face or knee? I think it might be a knee.
Yep, face. So yeah, you'd say, oh, you've got something on your rig or whatever. I believe that's how it works. I'm not exactly sure exactly how it's used, but there you go. So that one was in Cardiff. Next, we're going to Birmingham. So in Birmingham, if you were to describe a friend as being pagan, you'd be saying A, they're a terrible friend, or B, they are one of your best friends.
Pagan. So is that as in the the druids and the sun worshippers and all that sort of stuff, pagans? Is that sort of similar kind of spelling? I bet I'll get a message from Steve about this. Who sometimes watches the podcast. He's from Birmingham. He'll probably say, actually, no, it's people from the Black Country that say that as opposed to people from Birmingham.
Yeah,
people from West Bromwich, not Birmingham. They're nowhere near. I think. So what were the options again? Sorry, it's someone who's...
It's either a terrible friend or the one of your best friends.
Yeah,
and again, although there might be people in Birmingham who've never heard of these sayings either, but in some cases it might be young slang that's coming through. So there's slang in Sheffield that that kids are using that I've never heard before or whatever. So
YOLO, Jimbo, YOLO, you only live once, don't you? I think that's what some youngsters say. Probably don't say it anymore. I think if you didn't understand that, you'd be a serious melt, wouldn't you? But I think it's a terrible friend, a pagan.
Well done. Number 5, this is a bit of a maths one for you then, Fisher. If you added a pony, which is obviously Cockney, to a flim, which is Belfast, how much money would you have? And right. I'll give you, if you can get it within, say, £10, I'll give you the right answer.
Yeah. I mean, I had a similar question not too long ago on another quiz that I was doing, because that's all I do nowadays, just do quizzes. And obviously, the Only Fools and Horses opening theme tune, put a pony in my pocket. So I know a pony, it's not 20, which I think is a score. And it's not 10, which I think is just a tenner, isn't it? Fiver is a skydiver. Pony, is pony 50 or is it 25? Might be 25. And a flim. Never heard of that.
That's a Belfast saying.
A phlegm. How much for a phlegm?
Flim.
Yeah. I think I'm going to say 45 quid. I think it's 25 and 20.
So, with that one, not close enough. So, you're right with a pony being worth 20.
I said 25.
25, sorry.
Okay.
A flim, and I just had to correct myself here because I had to check this as well. A flim is actually worth £5, so it would be £30 would have been the correct answer. So you weren't 100 miles off, but yeah, not quite right. If you asked for a snout in Edinburgh, what would you be given? A, a broken nose, or B, a cigarette?
C, a snotty trout. No, sorry, a cigarette or what was the other one? Sorry?
A broken nose or a cigarette?
Broken nose. Well, snout, obviously, your nose is sometimes referred to as a snout, isn't it? And obviously cigarettes, well, I think that's more snuff, isn't it? I think I would say for tobacco and all that sort of stuff. But I think I'll say cigarette.
Well done. So number 7, we're going to the northwest now. If someone said to you, "Gan canny" in that kind of area, what would they be saying to you? A, do you want a beer? Or B, be careful. Gan canny.
And so whereabouts do you say? Northwest?
The northwest area. It doesn't say whether it's Newcastle, Sunderland, or Gateshead, or Middlesbrough, or whatever.
Which is more commonly known as the northeast.
Northeast, sorry about that.
Right, okay, yeah.
That was my fault.
Northwest is kind of like Cumbria and Manchester, Liverpool, and so Gang Canny.
Just got me sort of east and west mixed up anyway. So Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of Kanye East recently, so I've just got a bit confused. That's all.
Well, I think we had the jokes, didn't we? A couple of on the podcast last year, didn't we? When we got the beast from the east, the beast from the east. And then obviously we had the pest from the west, the pest from the west, and then we were quite pleased that the coldness wasn't coming in from the front, really. So options again. Sorry, were the
Gan Canny is do you want a beer or be careful.
Yeah. So canny either means careful or beer, as in canny. I've heard Scottish people say, "I can't do that," mean I can't do something. But I think be careful. Be careful.
Well done. So number 8, in Northern Ireland, if someone said that wee girl's a melter, they'd be saying that girl gets on my nerves or that girl is lovely.
So that wee girl's a melter. Is that what they're saying?
That's it, yeah.
I think because melt generally, I think nowadays in the UK, so if it calls someone melt, that means
it's quite a negative.
Sort of stupid.
Yeah.
It's quite a negative connotation. It means someone's a bit stupid, a bit silly. I've even heard people referred to as a cheese and ham melt, which just doesn't really make much sense.
And that's what you quite like, don't you? A cheese and ham melt as well, and that's what you always get when we're doing our podcast planning in the pub in the old days when we could meet up and have some food.
Yeah, it was all right. It's a Queen's Head. Nice toasted sandwich there. Hey, remember that? We used to go in. I used to order. I used to order the same thing every time. Then for drinks, we'd have sort of 2 medium Pepsi Maxes.
And they'd
one
say,
with a slice of lemon in. They'd
say to you, "Where are you sitting?" We're saying we're sitting over there together, quite closely together, not 2 meters apart, next to somebody else who's sat quite close to us as well.
Yeah. Just say you two together and say yeah, but not in that way. Just do a podcast together. It's fine. So the phrase was that wee girl's a melt.
Yeah, a melter.
Melter. So what were the options again? Sorry.
That girl gets on my nerves, or that girl is lovely.
Lovely or on my nerves. I think it's going to be lovely. I think it's going to be quite a positive phrase. She's going to say she's lovely. Oh.
So no, it's the other one. It's that girl gets on my nerves. So you would have been right going with the more negative one there. 9 then, in the Midlands, what is a bob... I think I'm going to say it right. What is a bobowler? A bobowler. I don't know if it's bobowler or bobowler. But anyway, A, a coat, or B, a moth?
Bobowler or bobowler. Quite an unfortunate name, isn't it? I mean, a bobowler, that's someone who comes into... who plays cricket who's not batting, isn't it? Who's... tricking the ball down. Coat. Quick coat. Type of hat, surely.
I was good as...
Could be...
Go on.
Yeah, I think it could be a hat. Could be a coat.
You think a coat?
Yeah.
Okay. So moth. So if you're in the Midlands, you've got to assume that, if you sat there watching telly and then suddenly a moth flies, you're like, oh, bobowler. I don't know if that actually happens or not. So we might have a lot of people getting in touch saying, no, you're wrong. Or we might not have anyone get in touch at all, which is quite often the case. But anyway, even if we are wrong. So the last one then. In Scotland, if you were to describe someone as a crabbit, you'd be describing them as being A, old, or B, bad-tempered.
Crabbit. So not like a crap rabbit. Old or bad-tempered. Which, to be fair, normally the two go hand in hand, don't they? So, sounds a bit like someone's crabby, which generally means they're a bit sort of tetchy, a bit irritable. But I think it's probably more likely going to be that it's just a way to describe someone who's old. Crabbit, so I'm going to go for old.
No, you would have been right if you went with your first idea that like the sort of crabbiness of being a bit tetchy and all that kind of thing. Yeah, it's bad-tempered. So there you go. I just thought I'd do something that kind of went around the UK a little bit and looked at slang and dialect and stuff. You know, and if there's anything that we've ever said that you don't quite understand, because we probably do say things without really realising, then yeah, please do get in touch and quiz us on it. We'd like to know. But I hope you enjoyed that, Fisher.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Jimbo.
So that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much for listening to us. Of course, you can get in touch with us as you always do. We like to do shout-outs. We did some in the previous episode, and I think we did one today as well, did we? I think we did. We occasionally do the odd shout-out, so if you'd like one, please do get in touch. As wasteofwebspace.co.uk, our Twitter account, our Facebook account, and now our Instagram account as well. I may even put on a picture of my injured toe on our Instagram account later on, although I'm not keen on sharing. I'm not, nobody really likes their feet, do they? So whether I choose to share mine or not, I might have to put a filter on my foot to make my foot
looking a bit nicer.
Yeah, try and make my foot look a bit nicer. But yeah, it was quite painful. It's hurting now anyway. So
can't believe I've gone through the entire episode and I'm wearing a t-shirt with my own face on it and you've made no reference to it whatsoever.
Any reasons for that?
I should put it on. I thought it might given how quiet a week it's been, I thought it might spark a bit of conversation, but never mind. I think we've still gone for about an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half, haven't we? I think something like that.
Yeah, we're approaching an hour and just over an hour and 25 minutes. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back again next week.
Yep, see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye bye.